Okay, welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about crosswinds and winds in general, but more specifically crosswind. Today we've got a crosswind from our left. It's about a quartering crosswind, meaning it's about, a quarter all the way around. And what happens when you land with crosswinds and take off. So I'm going to use intermediate mode. I'm on low rates. The throttle is armed. I'm going to do my checks. Everything's working okay. And we're going to take off. Here we go. Okay, taking off, getting it rolling is important, and using the rudder to keep it straight, getting up to 80%, pulling it back to 50%, and start my turn to downwind. Okay. The winds have died off a little bit, so we'll see how well this works. So I'm going to try to do as precise of a downwind as I can. Get 180 degrees. Turn to final here. Okay. And I'm not going to pull the power back until right about here. Okay. Because there is a little bit of headwind. And now I'm having to adjust my bank angle. Okay, so what happened there was I ran it out of airspeed, okay? And I should have added some power in the last part of the flare to not let it run out of airspeed, okay? That's typically what happens when you're flying with some headwind. I'm going to take off. It's typically what happens when you're flying with some headwind is you think everything's going fine and it runs out of airspeed and plops to the ground. So right now the wind is probably 5 to 8 knots, 5 to 8 miles an hour, and we're going to try this again. This way, this time I'm going to leave some power in as I land and get a much smoother landing. Okay, coming over the threshold of the runway here. I'm going to set it down. Power still on. Adjusting for a bit of crosswind there, and that's a little bit better landing. All right, I'm close to that cone, but I'm okay with it because I'm going to turn out to the right before I take off. So here we go. All right, this is a problem with crosswinds in that the wind will pick a wing up and tilt it over. I'm going to have to go get it. Be back in a minute. Well, okay, the wind's my friend. It turned over. Okay, so as you can see from what the wind was doing, this aircraft will tilt some in wind. So what I've done now is I've aimed it into the wind a little bit, and I'm going to take off across the runway slightly. Okay, here we go. Okay, I had to do a trick there which says put it to 100% power and get it airborne as quick as you can in the wind. You can't do a long takeoff on this grass. This grass is not quite as smooth as the grass at the other runway, other airfield. So the wind has shifted now, so it's more directly down the runway. So we're going to try this landing. And again, I'm going to add some power just before I come close to the ground, and then cut it off. Okay, so this is where two combinations occur: precision over the field right where you want it, and then quick reactions. Your reaction time has to be quick enough to keep it from tilting too far one way or the other, and as you're landing. So that's what winds do to you. Okay, winds are straight down the runway. I'm going to try to take off right from here. "100% power every time. Back to 50% power. It just shortens the amount of time on the runway. I'm angling out away from the runway a little bit, so my turn to final will be more controlled. Okay. Winds are blowing me in a little bit. Okay. The other thing I did right there at the end was, just as I was touching down, I pulled my rudder all the way to the left, because the aircraft was angling to the right. As I touched down, I pulled it all the way to the left, and it kept the airplane straight on the runway. That'll help me on the next takeoff. Notice it takes off in about 2 feet with 100% power. So that helps when you're trying to avoid the bumps and knots in the grass while you take off. Wind is still a bit of quartering from my left. I'm going to do a little bit shorter approach here. Okay. Leaving a bit of power in, and then pulling it to idle right there. Whoops, I ballooned a little bit. The other thing about landing in winds is you want to land before you lose all your airspeed. I was almost to a point of a stall there. I went a little far with that one. You want to set it down while you still have enough airspeed and it doesn't just drop out of the sky. Okay, one last time. This will be the last ramp. Okay. As you can also see, this is a much shorter field than the one I was flying at before, but that's okay. So I'm going to use a little bit longer approach here to give me enough time to line up. Keep my power in, idle power, put the power back up just slightly, land with enough airspeed, and then cull the power. Okay, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.